All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic Tech Talk / workshop. My name is Jamie Trujillo, and I will be moderating for our presenter, the brilliant Kristen Waring. And her topic today is docs, sheets, and slides. Oh my. And so just as a reminder again, for the recording, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I will either answer them if I can or give them to Kristen if I cannot. And please mute yourselves unless you are speaking. There will be options for that later on. And with that, I will turn it over to Kristen.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I always enjoy working with Jamie. She's so much fun.
Ditto, ditto.
So, docs, sheets, and slides, oh my. I wanted to do a webinar. Let me mute my chat there for a minute. There we go. I wanted to do a webinar or a tech talk where we could just learn some of those little tips and tricks that are helpful in what we do, but we don't always know about. And actually, Nancy, I want to thank you for asking for this because you mentioned a few webinars ago that, hey, you should do a webinar on these things and show us how to do them. So thank you, Nancy. So what I'm going to do, there are a ton of things that you can do with docs, sheets, and slides. And I can't go over all of them in 1 hour. So what I've done is I'm just kind of choosing my favorites and showing you some of those. But I also am listing resources at the end of my presentation where you can go and find out about other things if there's something else that you want to do. So this is my table of contents. We will get back to that in just a minute because I'm going to show you, one of the things I'm going to show you is how to create an interactive table of contents in Google Slides. So when we get to Google Slides, we will pop back over here. But the first thing I want to start with is Google Docs. So I've got a list here of some of the things that we can do with Google Docs, and I'm just going to be kind of jumping back and forth between the slide presentation and an actual doc so that we can kind of play with it a little bit. Go ahead and just keep your microphones muted while we're talking, but if you have a question, a comment, or something to share, feel free to unmute and just kind of shout it out there. Because this can be very interactive. And also, if you want to create a document on your own screen and kind of play with this a little bit as we go along, you're welcome to do that too. So I'm happy to answer any questions as we go along. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a new document here. This is just a blank document. And let's move this over so I can see what we're doing. So the first thing, and you may have already seen this, templates are something that you can use in just about any of the Google tools, the docs, the slides, the sheets, any of that. If you're in a blank document, you can just click up here on the icon in the top left corner. It takes you, in this case, to Docs Home. And it pulls up this list here. So you can either have a blank document, which is what I already have in there, or there's a whole bunch of just kind of point and click templates. And you can open this up. You can go here where it says Template Gallery and click on the arrow. And it's going to show you all different kinds of templates you can use. So these up here, this 4C's lesson plan template and this lesson plan template, these are templates that I made and saved. So if you make something that you particularly like, and you want to share it, you can always go here up here to submit template, and you can share that template with the others. So you can see up here, I have a setting that says NM-DELT, and then I have one that says general. The NM-DELT ones show the ones that I've created. And so if you're using an NM-DELT email account, you should have access to any of these that are saved in that as well. Or you can click on general, and it goes to a whole different set of them here. And you can see they're labeled. There's an essay template. There's a report template. These are great to show your students. Book reports. Some of these are geared towards lower grades, but even note-taking. If you wanted to create a like an interactive fill in the blank kind of note thing for your students, you could use one of these templates to create it. Business letters, resumes. We got templates for creating recipes, if that's something that you wanted to do with your students or even on your own. So there's all sorts of things you can look for in here. And to create it, so if maybe I want to make a recipe page, I'm going to click on this, and it's going to open my document with just a general thing. And now this already has a picture and a title, but that's just to hold the place. So you can always change this. So if I'm not making strawberry vanilla pancakes, maybe I'm making green chili chicken enchiladas. So it keeps the formatting and it keeps that same look, and you just change the information. The same here. I can click on this and I can come down here to the three dots and say, I can change the size, I can make adjustments, or I can delete this and I can put another picture in here. So it's just kind of a place saver for your picture. So any of these things you can change. This is just a guide to get you started. One thing that I do want to point out, and you guys may have seen this in the past and had no idea what it was, but this thing right here, you know, it says lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, all this stuff. This is just a fake made up language kind of thing, not even really a language, just letters that Google has put together as placeholders. So if you use Google Sheets, a template in Slides, any of those, you're going to see these same kind of words. They didn't want to put regular information in, they just wanted to save the place. Okay, so all you're going to do is replace this. If you only have 5 steps, you can always delete step number 6. Okay, so templates are a lot of fun. So, you know, play with them, have fun. If you don't want to do something from scratch, there's probably something you can use in those templates. The second thing I wanted to show you is, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm working with students, and sometimes if I'm creating an information page for the students to read, or maybe I'm having them do some research on the web and just kind of copy and paste information onto a doc or a slide, sometimes we find that a little bit difficult to do. So I'm just going to put up here, let's see if I can type properly, fun with docs. Okay, so maybe I find this website here, and that is not the one I want because that's just Pinterest. So let's go back here and try this again. Fun with docs. And find an actual article here. So let's open this one right here. And it has words, and say I want to copy and paste this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to use Control-C, which is a shortcut to copy. And then I'm going to go back to my page and I'm going to say Control-V, which pastes it. And just so you can see, let's change our background here. I'm not in Docs. Hang on a second. File. Maybe it's in Format. Where in the world is my background color? Insert. You know, I do know how to do this. Why is it giving me fits? I know where it is. It's in Page Setup. There it is, Page Color. So let's say I'm making a page and I have this background color and I copied and pasted onto here, but it copies with this background. Okay, I just wanted to color the things so you could see, because I have a lot of problems with this sometimes. You get this background, or you get letters that have all these highlighting on it, or sometimes you get a font that just looks really weird when you paste it on here. And so one of the tools that you can do is, once you've pasted this on here, you can highlight the whole thing, and you can come up here to where it says Format, and all the way down here to Clear Formatting. And what that does is it leaves only the words. It takes all the formatting out. So it always converts it back to default, which is Arial. it converts it back to font size 11 and takes out any of that background or colored text or weird fonts or anything like that. And then you can go in and you can format it the way that you want. Okay, so that's one of those kind of little tips that not everybody knows how to do, is just to clear all the formatting from something that you copy and pasted. And in turn, then you can go and use that information how you want.
Kristen, is there a way to get rid of, you did it. How did you get rid of the background?
Okay, to get rid of the background, there's two ways. Keyboard shortcuts, okay? Let me just write these down for you so you guys can note them down. Control plus C is copy. So what that means is you hold the control button and the C down and it copies whatever's highlighted. If you do control plus, where's my plus sign? Control plus V, okay, that pastes. This is paste. Oops, there. And then control Z, okay, that's what I just used to get rid of what I did. So control plus Z, this is undo. Okay, so that's one of the ways. That's what I just did to get rid of that background. I had put it in and then I didn't want it, so I did Control Z and it just took back, like, it's just the same as the hitting of the undo button. The other way that you can do that for the background is just like I put it on. You can go here to File, scroll down to where it says Page Setup, and there's an option here that says Page Color. So you can choose whatever color you want for the background and say okay. And then if you want it off, you can also do it the same way. You can go back to page setup and you can say, just go back to white and apply, and it'll take that off. Okay, so either one, but these three shortcut codes, Control C, Control V, and Control Z, are really, really useful, especially if you're doing a lot of work on any of the Google tools, because these three codes will work on any of the tools that you're using. If you're doing a slide presentation or working on sheets or forms or any of those things, these three codes will work for you. Any other questions so far? Okay. So the other thing that I use a lot, and if you guys have gone to any webinars that talk about giving feedback in here, you may have already seen this. But when you're grading a paper for a student, one of the things that we don't want to do, if somebody turns in a writing assignment to us or something, one of the things we don't want to do is to actually change the student's work. Right? We don't want to just go in and say, okay, well, this word is wrong, so I'm going to change it. Oh, I'm in editing right now. So maybe I think that this should actually say sheep. Why is this not working for me? SHEEP. And if I just go in and type it like that, it just changes it and it never tells the student what they did incorrectly or why you're suggesting that change. Instead, so I'm going to do my Control Z to go back. Instead, what you want to do is you want to be able to give them suggestions or show them where it needs to be corrected. So that's what this mode button is for over on the top right corner. It has a little pencil by it, and if you click on it, you'll see three different modes. Right now, I'm in editing mode because this is my document. I'm creating it, and so it's always going to be in editing mode. But let's say a student turned one in and I've opened it and I want to give suggestions. I'm going to click on suggestion. And then what happens is if I do the same thing, if I highlight this word and I want to change it to sheep, EEP, it puts it in there, but it also leaves this part that we're crossing out and it gives you a comment over here. It's saying that I'm suggesting that they change the word steep or replace the word steep with sheep. Okay, and then what it does is it has this check mark and the X up here. So the X is reject the suggestion. That gives our students that ability to have control or have ownership of their writing, because we're not changing it, we're suggesting it, but maybe we misunderstood and they really wanted that word steep in there. They can reject the suggestion, and they can also comment back and say why they're not using our suggestion. Or they can go up here and they can say, oh yeah, I just made a typo, that's really what I meant. And they can click the check mark, which means accept suggestion. And then what it does is it makes the correction. They don't have to go and retype and delete and do all that other stuff. It just makes the correction for them. So it gives you the opportunity to offer suggestions or corrections, or, you know, change, add or change punctuation, things like that, while still letting the student have control of their own document. Okay, this also works if you're doing any kind of collaborative work with somebody and you just want to make a suggestion, but you're not sure it's really what we want to leave in there. You can do that in the suggesting mode. And then the third mode up here is viewing mode. I use this a lot if I'm sending something to students that I don't really want them to write on. I just want them to look at it and then maybe respond somewhere else. So you want to give them just view only access to your document so that they can't change anything. You can also do this with colleagues. If you're writing something and you just want a little bit of feedback on it, or you want to show it to them, but you don't really want them to go in there and change it, you might want to put it on viewing only before you send it to them. So that's another tip. And that, like I said, I don't know if you guys use this, but especially now that we're working online, I use that all the time in the suggesting mode, because it's a great way to interact with the students and give them that feedback without actually changing their work. Okay, the next tip or trick or whatever you want to call it for this is voice typing. You can do voice typing on here. And I played with this earlier. It's pretty cool. If you go up here to tools, in tools, and you come down here, you have this thing down here, voice typing. Now, keep in mind that this only works if you're using a Chrome browser. If you're doing this in Firefox or Internet Explorer or anything else, it's not going to work. This needs to be in Chrome to be able to do the voice typing. And so if you click on it, it just puts up this little microphone. And I did have to set it up the first time. So it asks me to give permission for it to use my microphone and things like that. But now it can just live right here. And so that way, if I'm doing research or something, all I have to do is click on this, and now I can start talking and it will type whatever I say, period. You can always tell it to do punctuation. And look at that, it even took out my It decided that I didn't really need it there. But in this case, it did. So it's pretty intuitive. It's kind of cool. You can also, there are a few codes that you can give it, like select all. Sometimes that works. Let's try it again. Select all. Select all. I don't know why that's not working. It was working earlier. So it's pretty cool. It's fun to play with. And in the resources in my web, in my presentation, there's a link to a document that shows all the different codes you can use. You do have to speak clearly. It's pretty good at interpreting, but I have had a few things where it didn't understand what I was saying, like this select all thing. So it's fun if you need voice typing, if you want to dictate. That's a pretty cool thing to do. Has anybody ever used the voice typing yet?
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
No? Yeah, it's a pretty fun thing. Like I said, I hadn't used it before, but I tried it this morning and I spent about an hour playing with it because it was just pretty cool to see the different things that it could do.
I just learned to
All right.
use that on my phone to send a message. I'm way beyond.
Well, now you can do it on your documents too. All right, so let's see. Our next tip is going to be downloading. Okay, so this is a good one. Downloading documents in different formats. We have a lot of people, and we're training a lot of our students, at least we are in my program, to use the Google tools. However, sometimes you have a document that you need to send to somebody as a PDF, or maybe you want to save it as a Microsoft document. Google gives you the chance to do that. So once you've created your document, if you come up here to File and you go to Download, you can see the different formats that we can do it in. So here I can download this as a Microsoft Word document if I'm sending it. I know when I was taking in my college classes, a lot of times they didn't want Google Docs, they wanted Microsoft Word. So I can download it as a Microsoft Word. I can also download it as a PDF document, which I use a lot. These are much easier to open in different formats or different situations, I could say. And you have all different, you can create it as a web page, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. The two that I use the most though are PDF and the Microsoft Word format. And if you do this in slides, not slides, in sheets, it'll give you the option to do this in an Excel format. So you just go to download and you can choose which format you want to do it in. And that's downloading. So if you're keeping it in your Google Drive, you know you don't have to download it. You can send it in an email or you can do different things from right in your Google Drive. So, and it saves automatically. So that download is really only if you're going to be using other formats, if you need a different thing when you're sending. Sometimes I know when I've been working with my students with resumes, sometimes when they have to upload a resume, they're not going to be able to do it in this Google Doc format. Sometimes it has to be a PDF. So showing your students how to download this as a PDF would be very beneficial to them. If you're doing it in drawing, in Google Drawing, it gives you the option to download it as a JPEG, as a picture file, instead of a PDF. So you could do it as a PDF or a picture file or a, what's the other one? There's several different formats that you can download it as from Drawing. So it just depends on which program you're using. All right. Translate. Are any of you ELA teachers or Spanish HSE teachers?
Yes.
I know we have a couple in here. So the translate button works both ways, okay? I could take this document, I can highlight the portion that I want to translate into another language, and I can go up here to Tools, and we have Translate Document right here. So if I choose Translate Document, it's what it does is it makes a whole nother copy of it. Okay, it doesn't change your original document. It makes a new copy in the new language. So I'm going to say choose language. There's all kinds of languages here. I am going to choose Spanish because that's the one that we are all most familiar with, I think. And I passed it. So if I choose Spanish and I say translate, this is going to translate the entire document. And if any of you speak Spanish, maybe you can read that and tell me if it translated it correctly, because I don't speak Spanish. But from what I understand, Google Translate is fairly accurate. So I would suggest if you're doing this that you do go back and have someone read it and make sure it really says what you intended it to say. But how easy is that to take, you know, maybe if you are a Spanish speaker, you have to go back and make a couple of corrections. I don't know. If you don't, that's a whole lot easier than trying to retype it yourself. And then the same thing goes if I had a Spanish document and I want to translate it into English, I can go to Tools again. I can say Translate Document, choose my language. I'm going to go to English, and it's going to make me another copy. So it tells me what it's going to name it. You can also change the name. So if I wanted to say English version of practice, I can do that. And I can say translate, and it's going to make me another document that is translated back into English. So pretty cool tool to use, especially when we're working with students from other languages. And I think this would have been very helpful for me back when I was tutoring and I had students that were coming from Russia and Taiwan and things like that, because there's so many different languages. We could kind of work together to translate some of those and know what we were talking about. So either way, it's a fun and practical tool to use. So that's Google Translate. Any questions so far? Any comments? Fun stories, something like that?
So Kristen, if you highlight that portion, it'll only translate the portion you highlighted, correct?
No, that's actually not correct. That feature in here only, oh, Nancy asked her question and left. See if she comes back. I'll go ahead and answer though. We can tell her later. It does not only translate sections. The only thing it does in here is translate the whole page. Oh, there she is. So Nancy, it doesn't translate the section on this feature. It will only translate the whole page. If you want to translate just a part of it, you can go to a new tab and go to translate.google.com. And then you can just copy and paste that section. So if you want just a section, I can copy this with my Control-C, go over here, and I can paste it, Control-V, and then I can tell it, so it's detected the language is English. I can tell it on this side that I want it to go to Spanish, and then it just translates that section, and I can copy and paste it back. Does that answer your question?
Sorry, yes.
Okay, that's okay. Sometimes it's hard to find that unmute button. I know I have trouble with that sometimes.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
trying to unmute and I clicked out instead.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a good feature, but the one that's in the document is for the whole page, not for sections. But they do give us that kind of workaround with the translate tool. Okay. So find and add more fonts. You guys ever been playing with this and trying to make something that looks really cool, a flyer or whatever you're doing, and you go up here to your fonts and you just can't find the one that you want. You can't find the right one. None of these look exactly right. Now I have a lot of them in here because I've done this find and add font a lot. But if I go, where'd it go? Oh, sorry, it's way up here at the top. More fonts, okay? The ones that come built in with Google Docs, there's a few of them. There's maybe about 30 fonts that come automatically built in. But you can always go here to more fonts. And this shows you every font that they have available. And there's a whole bunch of them, okay? And what I like about this is I can look over here and I can see all the ones that I already have set up to go in my drop-down menu on my documents. If there's something that I particularly don't like, I can delete it. And then I can also choose more. So as I'm going through here, you can see the check marks are next to the ones that I've already added. So maybe I look down here and I say, oh, this one looks really cool. I want to try Play Fair Display. I can just click on it. It's going to put it, it's moving it over here. After I click OK, it's going to add it onto my list of fonts up here. So now Play Fair Display is up here and I can use it. Oh, that's why this is doing this. I forgot to switch back to editing mode. There we go, making all these comments for us. So now it's in my drop down. it comes up as my first one because I just did it. But eventually, if I want to use it again, I can come down here and it's permanently in my list until I take it away. So if you want something fun and playful that you just can't find, or maybe something that's a little bit more dark, or something that has just a little bit of curly cues to it, not much, you can go down here and you can play with this. And there is a lot of fonts. You can also come up here to the filters. And so, for instance, here, I can say I want all scripts. That means everything it's going to show me. If I want to find Greek ones, let's see what happens. This is showing me what it looks like written in Greek. That's pretty cool. I hadn't used that before. I think that's new. And then here, show all fonts. Show all fonts. I can look at just handwriting fonts. Oh, there's no fonts. There's no handwriting fonts in Greek. So let's go back to script here. This shows all of them. So this is going to show any of the ones that are handwriting or similar to handwriting. So I can change it around. I can see stuff with serifs or without serifs. So maybe I want all just the straightforward ones that don't have the little things on the edges. And I can see all the plain scripts. So there's lots of different ways you can sort around. You can find really what you want and make your document look the way that you want it to look. So that's kind of fun. And I'm going to hurry up here because we still have two more sections to go through. So there's two more things I want to show you on Docs. One is add-ons. So while we're looking at add-ons, I'm going to show you a pretty cool one. So add-ons, if you click on that up here, this shows you, first of all, any add-ons that you have already added to your repertoire of tools. If you want something new, a new add-on, you could go right here where it says Get Add-ons, and this is going to take you into the marketplace, the Google Marketplace. And the good thing about this is since I'm looking at add-ons from Docs, it's only going to show me add-ons that work with Docs. And as you scroll through here, you can see these little symbols down at the bottom of each of the add-ons. This shows you which Google tools they work with. So they're all going to work with Google Docs, but some of them work with other things. So for instance, this one also can be used, whatever this is, Auto Magical Forms. I don't know what that does, but it can be used with Google Slides. It can be used with Google Drive, with Gmail, and with Docs directly. So this symbol here, the lines, is the Docs symbol. And you can also add it onto your Google Workspace. So you can see a little bit about it. If you want to know what that does, you can click on it. It has not installed yet. We're just looking at the information. So Unicorn Magic shows some things. Here's an overview. Auto magically convert your PDFs, docs, and slides to Google Forms. Well, that's pretty cool. That could be useful. Might be something we want to play with. So if I want to do that, now you are not going to have, kind of ignore this where it says domain install. You don't have access to that. You're going to see just install. If you want to keep this, you're going to click install. It'll take a few minutes, just like loading an app. And then it will be up here in your add-ons. And you don't have to do this with every doc. So if like Easy Accents here, I added that on a long time ago, and it's available anytime I open Docs and click download. These can be good. And then if you want to get rid of them, if there's some that you've tried and you just don't like, you can always go to Manage Add-ons, and you can see the ones that you already have, apps that I've installed. And I can go up here to the little snowman or the three things, and I can say uninstall if I don't want to do this. So you can always get rid of them. The one that I particularly wanted to show you, though, that I have on my list, and I know especially with some of you that are in part of the ELA teachers, or that do anything in other languages, is Easy Accents. This one is fun. If I turn it on, I'm just going to click Easy Accents Start. And what it does is it opens up this sidebar over here. I can select the language that I want accents in. Now, some of these are premium ones that you have to pay for. Some of them are not. But for instance, if I come down here to Spanish, what it does is it's going to give me all those little accents that they use in Spanish language and the punctuation and everything that you use. And so it makes it easier for you to type in that language. If I was going to type a Spanish word, and forgive me if I'm doing this incorrectly, maybe I need that little accent on the end, and I want to do something like that. And maybe I want the punctuation. I know that's not correct because I'm not typing correctly in Spanish, but it makes it really easy. All you do is click it over here and it puts it in. If you do find stuff that you want to use, and I'm considering doing this because with the math, let's see, where did it say math symbols? Math symbols right here. When I clicked on that, this says it's a premium license required. I think this would be really useful to use because it has all of these symbols. I know that we can go to insert other symbols and we can find them, but you have to do a lot of searching for that, and you have to go into it each time you want to put a symbol. So having something like this available would make it really easy to make worksheets. For this one, the premium deal is only $1.99 a year. So I'm seriously thinking about purchasing that because I think I can handle $4 or $2 a year to be able to make it easier to make worksheets and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind if you want to be able to type other languages and other accents and symbols and stuff. The name of that is under add-ons, it's Easy Accents. And so there's a lot of them that you can use for free, or you can buy the 1-year pass and do it with that. And just play with those add-ons and see what things you can like, what things can be useful for you. All right, so the very last thing that I want to show you how to do. Does somebody have a question?
Yeah, Kristen, I just was wondering if you get that, you subscribe $2 a year,
Mm-hmm.
does it also convert over to using it on any of the other Google formats like slides or forms, or does it just apply to that one Google Doc?
That's a really good question. Well, it applies to all of your Google Docs. You can do it on any doc, not just that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me look at this and see for a second. Project hosting, install new add-ons. For end users, all users must install the new version. Click here to subscribe. Small business, so they can, I don't know. That would be I think we probably would have to actually go into the installation part of the app to read about that. But I will see if I can find out that information for you. Because yeah, that would be very useful if it worked across the board.
Across the board, yeah, thank you.
On all the tools. Purchase apps, all tools. I will look into that and let you know. Okay, so the very last thing I want to show you on Google Docs is, and this is something that I just learned. Let's say you've created something, and this tip works on all of the tools. Let's say you've created something, you want to share it with other people, maybe other people in the field, but you really don't want them to have your original copy. One of the things that you can do is if you look up here in the URL, when you're creating a document or slide presentation, the last part after this slash up here says edit. Okay. If you want to send this to somebody, what you're going to do is you're going to copy this. And let me see. I'm going to just do this right here because I already have one on here for you. But I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it onto my document. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this last, instead of saying edit, I want it to say copy. Okay, and what this is going to do, I'm going to show you on this top one that I already have on here. if I send this to somebody with the original URL and they click on this, it's going to just automatically open it and they can see it. And in this case, well, for me, it opens in edit. It might open in viewing, but they can always change it. Okay. So what I want is for them to have their own copy in their drive that they can use. So what I'm going to do is change that last part to copy. And then when they go to open this, it takes them directly to this page that says copy document. And it says, would you like to make a copy of this? And all they have to do is click make a copy. It's going to save it into their drive, a brand new copy. And now this one belongs to them. They can change it, adjust it, recolor it, do whatever they want with it. And it has absolutely no effect on your original document. Okay. Where this really works is in slides. If you create a really cool slide presentation and you want to share it with someone and you're okay with them making changes, but you really don't want them to change your original slide presentation, you can do exactly that same thing. Change edit to copy and send them to that, and it forces them to make a new copy. This also works if you're using Google Classroom. If you, for instance, are making a slide presentation and you want the students to be able to add to it or change it or anything like that, but you don't want them in your original document, you can change that URL to copy, and when they open it from Google Docs, or I'm sorry, Google Classroom, it'll force them to make a copy, which is then saved into their drive automatically. They can change the title, and then they can do any work that they need to on that without affecting your original presentation. So that's a really cool tool, and I just learned that a couple weeks ago. So you guys are getting the benefit of all these cool new little tips that I've just started playing with. All right, so that's all I was going to share as far as Google Docs go. Does anybody have any other questions about how to do anything or anything else as far as Google Docs go before I switch over?
There are no questions in the chat at this point.
Okay, cool. Well, if you do come up with a question, feel free to email me or post it in the chat if we're still online, any of that. So let's go back here. And now we are going to go to, let's go to the, no, that's not where I wanted to go. I got all these little buttons programmed in here. Okay, so now we're going to look at sheets. So some of these things I'm going to go pretty quickly through because we're getting short on time. And also, we've already looked at that in Docs and it works the same way. So for instance, templates works exactly the same way in Sheets as it does in Docs. You just click up here onto the little icon up at the top. It takes you to Sheets Home, and you can click the gallery just like we did there and see all of the different templates. So here we can do attendance templates, we can do budgets, schedules. There's all sorts of stuff in there that you can explore. So let's go back to my original one. And what's the next thing? We're on Sheets. So sorting data. This is the one that Nancy asked me about last time. So let's say I'm just going to put some names in here real quick. Nancy and Cindy, Cindy and Tina and Jamie. Okay, so we got some names in here, and we probably have some other data over here. So I'm just going to throw some numbers in over here. Okay, and we want to sort this alphabetically, but we want to make sure that all of this stuff stays with it. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to highlight from over here in the numbers, highlight the grouping that you want to sort so that it highlights all the way across your screen, because we don't want to move Jamie's information up here to the top, but have it sitting here with Nancy's numbers, right? We want to keep everything together. So in order to do this, you highlight on the numbers of the rows instead of on the specific fields. Highlight that. I'm going to go up here to data. And so you can see when you first get into data, we can sort the sheet by column A, but that's not what we want because column A right now is empty. Okay, and I can sort the range by column A. So the difference between the sheet and the range, sheet sorts everything on your sheet. It'll go all the way up here to the top where you have the information at the top highlighted, and it'll sort everything. That's not what we want. We want a range, which is just this grouping. However, we don't want to do it by column A. So I'm going to go down here where it says sort range just by itself, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to sort this range by column B, because that's where the information I want alphabetized is. So I'm going to switch to column B, and I can choose, do I want it to go from top to bottom, A to Z, or do I want it to go backwards, Z to A? Okay, in this case, I want A to Z, so I'm just going to leave it just like it is and click sort. And so now what that did is it sorted alphabetically everything that's across my border, across my field, by this particular column, and it kept the data correct for each person. So if you're doing this on an attendance sheet or something like that, when you add new students in, sometimes it's really difficult to, if you wanted to put it in alphabetical order, you might have to go in and add a line and put all their information in so that they're in the right place. This lets you just add it into the bottom and then sort the whole range of information so that your last name or your first name or whatever area that you're wanting to sort by is in alphabetical order. Which for me, and I know for what Nancy was doing when she asked me about this, made it a whole lot easier to accomplish. Okay, so let's see, sort data, freeze data. Okay, maybe I have a really long list of names here on my attendance sheet, and when I go down here, I can see all these fields, but now I can't see the information. I can't see the column headers. So what I can do is I can choose that row. I can go up here to view, and I can say freeze. So I'm going to freeze one row. So remember when we're talking about these, rows go vertically or horizontally across, columns go up and down, just like if you're building with a column, it goes up and down. So I want to freeze, whoops, where's my view? I want to freeze one row. Or if I wanted to freeze a bunch, maybe I had 3 or 4 rows at the top that I wanted to freeze, I could say up to the current row and it would freeze everything to that row. But for right now, I just want to freeze one row. And what that does is it keeps this in place. So now when I'm scrolling through my big list of attendance, it keeps the titles at the top and it only changes it only moves the information down here. So freezing rows is good. You can do that with columns as well. So if you have titles on the left-hand side, you can freeze as many columns as you want. And then that way, when you're moving side to side this way, you have some columns on the left that stay put, that are frozen. Okay. I'm going to skip over a couple of these. Conditional formatting. I really like conditional formatting. What that does is, let's say I'm going to go over here to my totals. So what I have here, this one has a conditional formatting on it. I have this set up with a formula that says it's going to add any numbers I have in for the range from column D all the way to column K. So anything that I put in over here is going to total in this thing. So let's say they went into Ed Ready and they did 3 hours, that's not even a number. They did 8 hours that week. When I finish that, it's going to change over here and it's going to keep a running total. But the way that I get it to do this here, change colors so that I can see who's done work that week. Because if you see, I go down a little farther, if I put a number in there, now this one has a number in it, it changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do conditional formatting. I'm going to choose the column I want. I'm going to go up here to format. And way down here at the bottom, it says conditional formatting. And you can see I've already got a rule in here. My rule is that if the value of that cell is greater than 0, it's going to change it to this color. And the way that I did that, I'm not going to add another one right now. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go down here where it says Format Rules. Now, there's several different things you can do. You can tell it if the text contains a certain word, it's going to change, or if the text ends with a certain letter or number, it's going to change. All different things. If the date is earlier than something or later than something, you can have it change colors. What I used was greater than. If the number in that cell is greater than, and then under value, I put 0. And then the original color is this green, so I want it to change colors. So maybe I want it to be yellow, or I want it to be pink. Or I can go down here to the paint bucket and I can choose any color I want and have it change to that color. You could also say if it's greater than 0, make it bold or make it italic or change the font. It's kind of fun to play with. But you want to think about what information you want to know. So here, what I want to know is for this whole week, which of my students did work and which of them didn't. So now it's real easy for me to look down here and I can see that, well, that student did no work, these students did no work, but these did. Okay, it's just a visual thing. So that's conditional formatting. Another thing that you can do here, if you're making a list, you can insert checkboxes. This is fast and easy. You highlight the area you want, go into Insert, and checkboxes. And now, whenever somebody completes something that you want, you can check them off, and you can see that they've completed. Very simple thing to do. You can also do the prompting to make a copy on this, the same way you did. Go up here, copy it, change everything, edit on out to copy, and it'll force whoever opens it to make a copy.
Kristen,
right.
would you show one more time how to get it to add the numbers?
To get it to add the numbers, yes. Okay, so let's do it in, I'm just going to do it in this column so that you can see it. So if I want this to add all of the numbers before it, I'm going to go, the most commonly used function, even if you don't know any of the other functions, is add. So I'm going to tell it I want it to make a sum, and it puts that in there. And then the little formula in there. And then all I'm going to do is highlight the ones that I want it to add. So I'm going to say from Tuesday all the way through where it says other. I want it to add those. And you can see right here, it puts in the codes, the column, the points on the graph here. It puts those in, and then I hit enter. And now that I've done that, it has that 0. So now anything that's put in here, if I put numbers in here, in those spaces that I told it, it's going to add them together. And you can change them. Maybe I did this wrong. Maybe it was supposed to be 7. It's going to adjust that number, especially since I didn't put number. I have to tell you guys, I got a new computer and I'm not super fond of the keyboard because it's a little smaller than my other one. So I hit wrong numbers. But that's how you do it. So you just click on the spot, and then if you want it to go all the way down, you can just click on this, and I've got the little square. I'll take that and drag it down as far as I want it to go. And now all of these have the same formula except for the columns across in front of it, or the row in front of it. Okay, so it's just up here. It's this little symbol. Click that and you can choose sum. Now there's all kinds of other formulas you can do for different things. I'm not going to get into those today, but sum is a super common one and it's really easy to use. So you can do that vertically. You could also do that, horizontally. You can also do it vertically. So I could put this one in here. I can hit sum and I can say I want the sum of everything that's above it and enter. Everything above it and enter. And now that one is going to add everything that I put up here. Except that apparently I didn't do it correctly. What did I do wrong? Oh, let's try that again. sum of all of these, enter. I hit the wrong button, enter. And so it's got 13. So now if I add another number in here, it'll keep adding down. So you can do it either horizontally or vertically. Okay, so let me just jump over. I know we've got like 3 minutes left and I talked way too long. So let's jump over here to Google Slides. Import themes on Google Slides. That's not where I wanted it to go. Let's go back up here to the slides. Import themes. When you're creating a new slide presentation, and I'm going to pull this one over here so you guys can see it. When you're creating a new slide presentation, if you're familiar at all with Google Slides, you can click on themes, and there's a whole bunch of different themes here. However, sometimes you want something different. You can go, and what I have in here is some slide websites where you can go and find different themes. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to make a copy of whatever theme you like onto your website, or onto your drive rather. And then I'm going to go down here to import themes. And so I've already got a couple in here. What it's going to do when you say import themes is it's going to open all the slide presentations in your drive. And so earlier I went on to one of these and I found this one here that says, can you guess who it is? If I like the colors and the fonts and everything on there, and I want to use it, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say select, and it's going to import the theme. So I want to choose it, import the theme, and now it changes my slide presentation to this. So what that means now is that when I go to put a new slide in, you can see there's all these different layouts that went with that theme. The color scheme is the same. I can make a new slide. So you can go and have some fun with this. If you want something really different than what they have over here in the normal Google Slide themes, there's hundreds of them that you can choose from. And like I said, I will share this with you so that you have access to these. Create an interactive table of contents. I told you I was going to show you how to do that. So let's go back in here. And I'm going to, what did I do? I don't want that one. I want this one. All right, so the interactive table of contents. This was my table of contents in my original presentation today. And you can see what I've done is I've linked all of these to specific slides. So I can click on that and I can go to the slides, and then I can click, I have a button here that takes me back to the table of contents. The way that you do that is I left this last one plain. So if I highlight this and I go up here to this little symbol for the paper clip or whatever you call it, it's a link. It says insert link. If I click on that, I have two choices. I can make a link to something, a URL, a video, or something that's outside of Google Slides, or I can link to slides in this presentation. So I'm going to go down here, and for this one, I want to link this to slide number 7, which is the very last slide. And so I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to apply. It turns it into a link, and now I can go here, and it will take me directly to slide number 7. What I did for these is I made a little square that says table of contents. I used the shape tool up here. It says table of contents. And I've linked all of these to slide number 2, which is the table of contents. I did it exactly the same way. Highlighted the shape, go up here to link. I chose a slide in this presentation and put the table of contents and applied. And so now, if I'm on any screen, I can click this and go back to the table of contents. Okay. I realize it's after 1 o'clock. If any of you need to leave, I do understand. I'm going to take about 5 more minutes and just finish this up. So if you want to stick around, you're welcome to.
Can I just mention one thing really quickly, Kristen?
Yes.
I'm going to put the link to the webinar survey, the evaluation form, in the chat. So if you do have to leave, if you could just click on that link before you take off, that would be really great.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you, Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go back to slides here. So we talked about importing themes. We talked about interactive table of contents. The other thing that I want to show you, and I love this, is publish to the web. If you make slide presentations and you share them, especially on Google Classroom with your students, or if you're using them in a presentation for your students in a live class, this publish to the web feature is great, because what happens here, if I were to take this and import it into Google Classroom for my students, when they open it up, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see these thumbnails on the side. They're going to see all the tools. Even if they can't edit it, they're still going to see all of this before they go to present and see it full screen. Okay. If I do publish to the web, so let me get back out of here. If I do publish to the web, which is over here under File, you go down here and you click Publish to the Web. It gives you a couple of choices here. What I usually do is I take this and I change every 3 seconds to every minute, because I don't want my slide presentation to just start going really fast. So I do this. You could choose if you want the presentation to start immediately when they open it, and you can choose if you want it to restart after the last slide comes. For my Google Classrooms presentations, I usually leave these blank. Okay, so what I do every minute, link, I've got this link here. So I'm going to, I'm already publishing this, so I'm not going to be able to show you, but you're going to say publish, and then it's going to ask you if you want to copy the link. And then you take that link, and that's what you use in Google Classroom, or you can put it up here as a URL in a new tab. But what you end up getting is what I have here, my initial presentation. When the students open this from Google Classroom, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see a document or a presentation without all of those thumbnails. It's just the full presentation. And the great thing about this is that the links will still work. Any links that you put in there or videos, the students can still click on. So you can make a very interactive presentation without having to have them go through, you know, having to see all your work, all your thumbnails, and having to go up to present. It just gives them a very finished, polished looking presentation to interact with. So I really love that tool. It gives you a lot of stuff to work with. Let's go back here. Oops. So publish to the web. Oh, Explore. Have you guys ever used the Explore tool? Explore is awesome. I'm going to go ahead down here and I will just delete this afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a new slide. I'm going to use the title and body. You can use any of these. And I'm just going to put having fun. And down here in my text, I like to read, write, and do math. You know, I'm a geek, right? Okay, so I put whatever information I want in here. You don't want to put too much for this to work. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to find a picture. So I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type having fun. And I'm going to go to images. And I'm just going to pick one. Oh, this one's kind of cool. So I'm going to pick this image here. I'm going to right click on it and choose copy image. Go back to my sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in. So how many of you have created a page on here and you're like, I just can't get it to look good. I like all the stuff I've put on here, but I don't know what to do with it. I know I have a million times. But if you go down here and you hit this Explore button, it gives you all kinds of suggestions on how to use the information that you have and make it into a professional looking slide. So you can go through and choose any of these. If you have way too much information on your page, it will not give you any options. Okay, so maybe I like that. I think that looks pretty cool. Or maybe I want to look at something else. I can try a different one, see which one I like. So I love this tool, and I've showed this to my students when I'm having them make a slide presentation, and they love it too, because what I've told them is slide presentations should have minimal stuff, maybe bullet points, maybe just a picture and a little bit of words, because they're supposed to be giving the information when they present it. This holds them to it, because if they end up putting too much information on here, let's go back a little bit here. Whoops. Let's paste that back on there. If they end up putting too much information, so maybe they put that and they went over here and they found this other picture and they liked that, so they copied that and put it on there. Watch what happens on the right. As soon as you get too much information, so that one, they feel it's okay. They can still fit it in and come up with some decent looking things. But let's say I put one more. Now you're getting limited stuff. And if I put it one more time, it's even less. Oh, it's letting me put a whole lot more on here today than I usually do. But once you get to too much, so it's just too much for one page, you get this. It says build beautiful slides, see layouts tailored to your content, but it's not going to give you anything because you've just got too much information on that page. So it's a good way for your students to start creating something and kind of check themselves from putting overkill of pictures and information. Also, if they type too much stuff, if they make a really long paragraph, sometimes it'll tell them, nope, that's just too much. It doesn't look good on this page. And so that Explore button is a really good tool to use. Internal linking, I showed you. That's the same as when we were creating the table of contents, linking to internal links within your slide. This can be used if you're creating a game. You guys may have seen like a Jeopardy game made with this. And basically what it is it gives a whole bunch of questions on one page, and every time you click on it, it links to another slide. And then you go back to the main slide, and then it links to another slide. So you can use this to create all sorts of things on here. This create games, create flashcards, choose your own adventure stories, all this kind of stuff. This is probably where I'm going to end. So let me just show you this. If you go to, whoops, up here to templates for this, remember I said there are some that are saved from the NMDelt stuff. So this set here are things that I or other people have saved onto here. If you go to general, you have field trips, books, science fairs, ideas for recipe books and portfolios, all sorts of stuff. But back to that NMDel thing, when I talk about games and stuff, this Jeopardy game is totally awesome. And if you have an NMDelt account, you are welcome to use this. What it does, it's just a template, so it has editing instructions in here. And then if you've ever watched the game Jeopardy, you put your topics in here, and each question is a little bit harder and worth different points. So basically what this does is once you're done, if you click on this one, you can see this is connected to slide 4, topic 1, $100 question, which is right here. So it connects to the question. And then once it's asked the questions, this one connects to the next slide, which shows the answer. Okay, so you can do the question and answer with your students, and then you can click on this and return back to the Jeopardy board. So this is completely customizable. You can put whatever topics, if this is math or history or science or computer literacy, whatever you want to do. You choose the topics and you go through and make the questions. It's a little time consuming to prepare, but the students absolutely love it. So there's a Jeopardy template for you. Let's get back out of here. There's flashcards. If you want to make flashcards I've even gone so far as having my students do this all together online, and each chose a different color and went through and made flashcards. And then we went through and did it together. So you've got sets here, questions and answers. Basically think about it as the front and the back side of the flashcards. Okay, so lots of different, you've got plenty of them on here. You can always add more if you want to. You can delete if you want less, but that's a kind of fun template to use. Okay, so templates are awesome. I don't think I have time to get into any more of this today. Does anybody have any specific questions about any of these 3 tools that I've shared with you today?
Do you have another couple of hours?
Do I have another couple of hours? No, but I'd be happy to work with you one-on-one if you want some help. So if you, let's see. So I've got some links here. You can also go on there and get some more ideas. And most of the stuff that I did is in here, step by step, how to do it. Right here, if you want me to send that to you, go ahead and let me get this. Hold on. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. I can't do that there. I could do it on this one. Let me copy that link, and you can just leave me your email address, and I will make sure you get a copy of this slide presentation. Let me put that in the chat for you. There you go. Fill that out. I will send you a copy of the slide presentation. And if you have any questions at all or you need help, you can reach me at this email address, kwaring@nmdelt.org, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
And Gerardo did say he missed how you insert the checkboxes on the spreadsheet. So am I assuming that you will be able to?
I will show you right now, Gerardo. Awesome. Are you still here?
Let's see.
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Like
Thank you.
Here. So to insert checkboxes, so let me delete these ones. All right. So you're going to, whatever list you want to put that on, you're going to choose, you can go straight across, you can go up and down, whichever way you want to do. But what you're going to do is just click and highlight the range of boxes that you want to put check boxes in. And you're going to go up to insert. And there is check boxes right down here at the bottom. So just insert check boxes and it will fill all of those blanks in. And then as you do, if you're on a list or something, whenever you do it, you can just click it to say that you've finished that. Okay, so just highlight, go to insert, and choose checkboxes. Are there any other questions in the chat that I can answer?
Cindy actually asked, she provided her email. She was asking if you could email her the slide presentation.
Sure, I can do that.
Excellent.
So C. Armijo at luna.edu. Perfect. I'll get that out to you right away, Cindy.
Thank you. And I did put the link to the evaluation form in the chat one more time for those of you that didn't get it. Nancy also put her email in the chat, and Gerardo, he requested the chat or the slide presentation. I'm so sorry. Gerardo, if you want to put your email in the chat. Since this is being recorded, Kristen, the chat is also recorded, so I can share the chat.
That's good. So we can go back and get those.
Exactly.
I'm writing frantically here. All right. Well, I am done. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I know that was a lot of information and we went over a little bit, but I think some of these tips are very useful. And if you have any questions on how to do anything or just want some extra help with it, please feel free to email me. I'm always happy to help.
Perfect. And we got a lot of thank yous in the chat. Sorry about that.
Great weekend. That's okay. Have a great weekend. Jamie, thank you so much for moderating for me today. This was fun.
You are most welcome. It was a great presentation.
I will see you guys next time around.
All right. And I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful